The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim is an anime film directed by Kenji Kamiyama, set in Middle-earth 200 years before the story that we saw in Peter Jackson's film trilogy. It was such a joy to dive back into Peter and Fran's Middle-earth and to collaborate with the filmmaking team, especially Philippa Boyens, Jason DeMarco, Joseph Cho, working with them to bring Kamiyama-san's vision to life. It's the story of King Helm Hammerhand of Rohan, as seen through the eyes of his daughter Hera.
For this project, we got to design many of the weapons, the environments, and the creatures of Middle-earth. The director and the studio were really keen to work with us because we've got so much to lean on in terms of knowledge, and almost everybody in the company has worked on some form of Lord of the Rings or Middle-earth based project.
That Middle-earth DNA really has been part of Wētā Workshop for, well, generations now. 20-something years ago, my journey in Middle-earth started when I was hired here at Wētā Workshop in the design studio. I was part of the team here that created armor and weapons and creatures, prosthetics, all that kind of fun stuff. With this project, production of the film is based in Japan, and my role essentially was to come on board and provide legacy influence, I guess you could say. Having been there in the design studio when all those creative decisions were being made on the original Lord of the Rings movies. And that was really my role, was to help try and find authenticity and links between the new anime medium and the live action version, and then also the books.
In some ways, the process wasn't any different to what we're used to. The big difference was the fact that we were working in this sort of Japanese anime style, and that's not something that we're particularly familiar with.
Fortunately, director Kenji Kamiyama knows anime very, very well. And so his brief to us was, don't get lost in the weeds. Just think about it as if it's a live action movie. Illustrate and design as if that's the case, and we'll help you cut it back and find that translation into the animation style that we need to produce.
Even though we were working in animation for this project, it was important that every object we designed was grounded in the real world. At Wētā Workshop, we're really fortunate to have experts and enthusiasts on almost any subject.
You're thinking about complete cultures when you're designing characters. You're thinking about the people that inhabit the spaces when you're designing buildings. You're thinking about who's going to hold something and what its history is when you're designing a prop. It's very much something that all the artists at Wētā Workshop take to heart, and I think it's evident in everything that the company produces.
Both the studio and him wanted the War of the Rohirrim to fit within the world that Peter Jackson created in the original trilogy. So we got to explore Middle-earth in a different time period. This is 200 years before the time of Theoden and the events in Lord of the Rings. It's a unique look at the Kingdom of Rohan, which is led by Helm Hammerhand. It's also a time when Rohan is much larger and way more abundant.
This is Rohan in its prime. Edoras, because it's a more flourishing city in this earlier time period, could afford to have a little bit more colour, a little bit more pop, a little bit more vibrancy. It's a little bit more sprawling than we see it in King Theoden's time, when Rohan is kind of falling on harder times. Adam Middleton in particular at Wētā Workshop in the design studio was super influential. There were some pieces of artwork that Adam created for Isengard, in which you're looking down on the tower and the ruined landscape around it that's been flooded and it's turned into a swampy bog, and they drew you in, you know, they demanded explanation. You were like, oh, why is it looking like that? I want to explore it, I want to go in deeper. And Hornburg, Helm's Deep, was an interesting one because essentially it is the same, except we're seeing it in winter, in one of the harshest winters that Middle-earth has ever experienced. So the entire place is completely draped in snow and ice. It was important that at a glance, audiences recognize these places that we were revisiting, but then also add that extra layer of newness to them that reflects the fact that this is an earlier time period and that things have changed in the intervening times. In the film, we see some familiar creatures, but very much like the locations, they're the same but different. We see Mumakil, the giant war elephants that are brought to bear on Rohan. They're a slightly smaller variety, and the tribe of Haradrim that are riding on them are also a different tribe. That permitted us to draw from the same palette of materials that we used to define the original creatures, but then also add little flourishes and differences. We also see a creature that looks very much like the Watcher in the Water that attacked the Fellowship outside Moria. Except this one's living in a different part of Middle-earth. In fact, it's living in a little wee pond that's kind of drying up, and really its environment is too small, so this poor creature can't even fully submerge anymore.
And in true sort of Japanese anime tradition, you have to have two monsters fight each other. That's something that the production wanted to honour in this film.
There is a troll in this film, which is a snow troll. So again, similar to the cave troll that we met in The Lord of the Rings, but a little bit different. Gus Hunter at Wētā Workshop had a lot to do with the design of this creature.
Gus always brings a heightened level of drama and just epicness to his artwork.
And one of the things he suggested to the director was that perhaps it had big curling horns. The director loved the silhouette that it created, and shagginess, you know, it has a beard, it lives in the snow. So again, it's a troll, but it's a little bit different to any troll we've seen before. In the wake of finishing work on The Lord of the Rings, the Rohirrim, I put my hand up to help bring together an art book, which was really cool because it meant I could interview all of my colleagues and friends on the film, collect their artwork and put it all in one place and present those ideas for people to enjoy.
We have work in there that didn't make it into the final film. You get to see a lot of our original concept art, and it's quite a rare thing these days to see alternative designs, and often as designers we're quite proud of the work that doesn't make it into the film.
There's art by Middle-earth veterans such as the Wētā Workshop team, Alan Lee, John Howe, and then you're also going to find artwork in there by the Japanese teams, the animators that were working on the films, their props designers, their creature designers, their character designers, and Korean artist Stato, who came up with the original designs for the characters for the film. Middle-earth is really part of Wētā Workshop's DNA, and it's been really, really fun coming back to it.